Mike Waltz, congressman from the 6th Congressional District. He's joining us live today on WNDB's Marc Bernier program. And to go right to it, Congressman, I've never seen this before in the 45 years I've been in the broadcasting business. A newspaper apologizes for endorsing a candidate, all because you joined your colleagues in saying, hey, we need to certify this election properly and make it fair. What's your comment about that? I've never seen a newspaper apologize to its readers.
Well, I apologize to my constituents for accepting it. Mark, that's one piece, but in the article, they call me, I've served in the military. It's still going for 24 years defending this country. They call me a coward. They call me disloyal to my oath and a danger, dangerous to democracy and the country. So it was typical of the left. They went right for the personal character attacks, and not even a mention anywhere in the article of any of the constitutional issues, which they should explain to their readers, much less debate or engage in a discussion with me. And of course, not even a phone call asking why I signed on. But what's so disturbing is that it's just the reflex default character attack rather than discussing the Article 1, 14th Amendment, Equal Protection Clause issues that were outlined in the brief. I think it's really unfortunate the Supreme Court decided not to hear it. But they decided on its standing, not on its merits. And the issues are still there, Mark, and they're going to be there not only for this election, but going forward.
I want to move over to the subject of Chris Swalwell and his involvement with that young Chinese spy. He is going to stay on this intelligence committee, which is one of the most sensitive of all committees, and Nancy Pelosi doesn't see this as a problem. Is there anything that can be done?
Well, and further, she knew about the issues when she appointed him to the committee with no background. He has no background in intelligence, no military background, and was had been a young city councilman when he was elected to Congress and appointed. So I've called for a full investigation and for him to step aside and at least not have access to this most sensitive information in our country, much of which has to do with China, for him to until this is resolved, Mark. But this is just the tip of the iceberg of a much, much bigger issue. Whether it is Swalwell, whether it's Hunter Biden, they're and a number of other people that have some kind of been influenced or touched. This is in our academia. It's in our sports. It is everywhere. And the Chinese are flooding the zone with money. And this is in an effort to influence American society across the board as they seek to supplant us as a world power. You and I have talked a lot about it.
There's news this morning of a very big concern that I know you must have about a nuclear weapons agency that's been breached in a massive cyber attack, presumably by the Russians. Your thoughts?
Every war game now is the first shots are fired in space and they're fired in cyberspace. And, this is just it's pernicious. It's across the board. We need to get to the bottom of how this happened. I think we have a good idea on software that was compromised. But I think, again, this is the tip of the iceberg, too. Much of it still is still classified that I'll be getting briefed on in the coming week, Mark. But this, we need to establish deterrent in cyberspace as well, so that these powers that think they can get away with it, in this case, I think it was Russia, we can flick the lights in the Kremlin as well. We could take down their grid as well. And I think we need to get much more aggressive because right now they're just getting away with it, and it's got to stop.
We have a question from a listener wanting to know if this is a top priority on the short list. Senior housing and multi-dwelling structures, as they are potentially a high risk for contagious disease. Is that an issue that has come before your desk?
It hasn't come before us specifically. One of the things that we're negotiating, and obviously in this aid package, this coronavirus aid package, is additional money to help get this vaccine out faster and to focus particularly on seniors and on home, if that's what the listener is referring to. But in terms of limiting folks in different types of high rises or concentration, I would defer to state and local officials on that. I don't think that's something that's going to come before Congress.
Okay, I want to pivot back to defense and ask you if it's going to be difficult to get some of the additional things that we're going to need in the Defense Authorization Act if the squad and others don't have their focus on that. I'm just worried about the majority in the House. Will they pay attention to defense requests, because we're in a very precarious time?
Well, they tried, and the progressives have several bills out there to cut nearly 20% from defense. I mean, that's almost $150 billion out of defense at a time when China is marching from across the South China Sea all over the world, establishing bases in Africa, and, of course, completely infiltrating every part of the United States. Russia's still dangerous, Iran, North Korea, of course, terrorism. So they're going to try, Mark, and if they get the Senate, if we lose those two Senate seats in Georgia, then they very well may succeed. But that's one of the reasons our men and women in uniform out there deserve the very best. And I don't want my grandchildren growing up in a world led by Chinese communists. And that very well could be the case if we don't stay strong on defense.
Do you think that we'll be able to keep those seats in Georgia? What does your gut tell you, Congressman? I
was campaigning with Senator Perdue last week. I'm really worried about very frustrated conservatives, rightly frustrated with some things on how the voting happened there, and sitting on their hands. But let me tell you, if they get the Senate, Pelosi and Schumer are going to make voting in America look like New York and California. They're going to nationalize it. She already passed a bill to drop the voting age to 16, to no voter ID for any state in the country, and for automatic registration, including undocumented illegal aliens. She'll make that national, Mark, and if they get the Senate, she'll put it into law off of Biden's desk, and we just can't have that. She'll make it impossible for Republicans to come back into power.
Congressman, we'd all like to wish you, your daughter, and those close to you a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and we'll talk to you on the other side of New Year's. Thank you so much for your service to our nation.
Hey, thank you so much, Mark. God bless and Merry Christmas.